The question here says the minor connector for a mandibular distal extension base should extend posteriorly about how much? 2/3 the length of the edentulous ridge, half the length of the edentulous ridge, 1/3 the length of the edentulous ridge, or it should be as long as possible. Now, minor connectors are nothing but a connecting link between the major connector and other parts of your partial denture, namely the clasp, the rests, the denture base, and the vertical arm for your bar type clasp. We'll be mainly discussing the denture base minor connectors. So there are of three types. As you can see, this is an open construction or a ladder type, mesh construction or the lattice type, and lastly bead wire or nail head on a metal base. Most commonly we use the open construction or the ladder type. It has good rigidity. It can be used in long span edentulous cases. And another advantage is that, as you can see, this hollow space, it has less interference when you're trying to do teeth arrangement. So in cases when your inter-ridge distance is less, this type of network or this type of construction is preferred. Coming to the mesh construction, as you can see, it has tiny holes like the mesh or the lattice. So the problem with the lab is that when they want to pack the acrylic dough, they have to apply a lot of pressure to engage the acrylic resin into these holes. So the retention becomes a bit difficult sometimes if it's not packed properly, and it has a lot of metal interference. So in case when you have a small inter-ridge distance or your vertical space is less for teeth arrangement, then the necks of the teeth cannot be pressed nicely in the acrylic resin because there's a lot of metal interference. Coming to the third type, which is the bead wire nail head on a metal base. Now in this, the acrylic resin is present on the top here. These tiny beads, they aid in retention of your resin, and the metal base directly contacts the tissue surface. The disadvantage of this is that the relining and the rebasing becomes difficult like any other metal base. Getting back to our question, they had asked the extension of the minor connector in cases of mandibular distal extension cases. So as you can see in this image, it clearly states that your minor connector should extend 2/3 the length of your edentulous span. Alright, in case of the mandible. So it's a purely theoretical based question, and the answer to this is 2/3 the length of the edentulous ridge. Now giving you some additional information, in case of maxilla, your minor connector should cross the prominent part of the tuberosity and end in this region. So this is another type of question that they can ask. Additionally, they can ask you about internal and external finish lines. So your internal finish line is the junction between the inner surface of the minor connector with the denture base. It has to be 90 degrees to provide optimum thickness of your denture base, and the external finish line should be lesser than 90 degrees. It should have an acute angle, so it provides an undercut area. So this undercut area aids in retention of your denture base. Thank you.